Hey there, this is Katherine Cartwright. Welcome. I am going to be working with the Sand Dollar Folded Die Set from Stamps of Life. I've got an introductory video on this, how to make a folded, and I've got 4 projects that I made with it. I'll link that in the description. But this one, I am going to be making a shaker card. I couldn't stop making cards and my video got too long, so I needed to make an additional video or 2, and this is one of the ones. So I have gone ahead and I'm cutting out the base layer of the sand dollar, and I cut out the center of it using just a basic circle die. I just picked one that was a little bit smaller in the center, but I still had a pretty good edge around it so that I could create this shaker piece. I also cut a solid piece of the base again, and then a piece of acetate. I'm going to need all these pieces to put my shaker together. I'm going to take a second here and I am going to ink blend around the edge of my sand dollar, and I did use a cream colored cardstock, just a basic cream color, nothing particular, just not white. I wanted a little bit of the warmth of that cream color, and then I'm going to add this Gingersnap, which is kind of a craft color around the edge to kind of darken it up a bit. So I've got my foam piece here, and I'm just going to run this around to add a little bit on the edge. You could do the inside if you wanted as well, but I just wanted to keep it kind of plain on the inside so you could see what I'm going to put in there. Okay, and when I'm satisfied that I've got enough of the ink on there, I'm going to move to the next step. So I cut that acetate, it's the same size as that die, so I'm going to trim it down just a little bit. So I have plenty of edge where it will cover my hole to keep my shaker bits in there, but that I also won't have any sticking off of the edges. Sometimes I do that, where if I cut the same die piece, the same size, and then I end up having some edge hanging off. So I have to go back and trim it. So I'm just trying to avoid that on this. So when I'm satisfied with that, I have added some really sticky tape to it, some red line tape here in little pieces that I've run around. And I will just peel these back, and then I can add my acetate. Sometimes I use liquid glue, sometimes I use a sticky tape. It's just kind of what I'm in the mood for. But I decided that that sticky tape would fit pretty well, so I'm just going to go with that one on this case. Alright, get that last piece off using my pokey tool, and then I can add the acetate on the back. And this will be the beginning of my shaker. Alright, you can see that acetate shining in the reflection of my camera. And there we go. And I will just make sure I'm going to take a little bit of my bone folder here, and that we've got a great adhesion between that tape and the acetate, and everything will stay together well. Alright, so starting to come together a little bit. I'm going to need some foam pieces here to work on adding my on the shaker piece. I'm going to add some foam to it, I should say. I'm trying to keep those pieces obviously the right direction, and honestly I don't really care if they're matching up or not, because it's it's kind of a fun shape and a little bit unique. Alright, so I've got these little foam strips that I like to use for my shaker cards, and I'm just going to run this around to create a closed circle to keep all of my shaker pieces in there. And I've got one more strip, and they fit really well, and I like the height of them. I am going to use some flat pieces here, nothing too thick though, because it's not the thickest foam. If you wanted to have a lot of super dimensional items in here, you would probably want to add a second layer of foam. And I'm just taking another second there to make sure I've got my whole of my shaker piece sealed up really closely. Got a little bit of this anti-static tool that I'm going to run around there, and then I can work on filling the spot that is going to hold the shakers. So I'm just going to put things in the middle. I have die cut several of the little smaller sand dollars that are included in this die set. You get the large sand dollar and then you get some little tiny ones, and then you get a shell in the set. And again, I have another video that has all the components. There's some stencils as well that you're going to see that I'll use. And then I have these little, I did Gingersnap, Cherry, and Cantaloupe. So those are the colors that I chose for this. And then I just have some little tiny hearts that I thought would be cute. So I have added these in there as well. I probably could have added some more shaker pieces in here, but I didn't want to overwhelm it. And I'm trying to keep it pretty flat so it shakes somewhat. But again, I probably could have added a little bit more. There's kind of a science to figuring out how much space you have and how much volume you have and how much shaker stuff you can add in there. I'm just kidding. It's all just a guess. So I'm going to layer this on top, and hopefully things will be shaking pretty well. And there we go. Super cute. Sometimes things stick to the side a little bit initially, and that kind of wears off with the foam strips. Okay, so I decided that it needed a little bit more, so instead of doing this in the beginning, I decided to add some more of the sand dollar pieces on the top. So I'm just holding my stencil in place, hoping it doesn't slip. I didn't glue it down or anything, and I'm just kind of taking care here to make sure I've got the little pieces filled in that I want to. There are a couple places more that I would like them, so I'm just going to repeat that process, and once I'm satisfied, I'll rinse off my stencil for the next application. And this is one of the stencils that comes in this set. There's this stencil, and then there is also a circle stencil as well, or it's actually the sand dollar. You layer them together and you get a card full of sand dollars. Super cute. All right, so now I have the top of my Fold It, and now I'm going to create the rest of my Fold It. So this die has place fold here on the side or on the top. You can see that I have left a little gap between where the die cuts and the edge of the paper, and so therefore where that fold is, I will get a nice shaped creased card. And there we go. You can see that it's intact and it folds beautifully. So I can put those together and finish working on this card. So I'm just going to glue this down, and I use the same color card base, so more of that cream cardstock. And this will be added to the top. So cute. I knew I wanted to do a shaker, but I wasn't really sure how to do it. And it came together pretty well, relatively, but I really wasn't sure. But I love a shaker card. They're so fun, and especially on a shaped card too. Okay, so I have this little cutout from a piece of cantaloupe that I used in another project, and so I'm going to just add this to the top of my card. I wanted you to be able to see through, to see the inner workings of the sand dollar, you know, because when you have a real sand dollar, they've got all those little pieces inside, and so I kind of wanted to mimic that same idea of adding those on there. I'm going to take a block here and add that on there for a minute to make sure that it really sets up on that acetate. I went ahead and cut one of the shells. The shell is also included in this set as a fun add-on, and so I'm layering Gingersnap onto chocolate cardstock, and then I'm going to add a little bit of ink to the center of that shell to add a little bit more interest and dimension to it. So I've still got some ink left on my ink blending tool, and I'll just come back here and add that on there. Okay, and then I want to add a little bit of glue to the side to hold that shell in place, and then I'll probably add a little bit more underneath to make sure that it's really stuck to the front of that card and it doesn't come flying off when you start shaking it. So I've got to let that set up because I'm going to keep shaking it for sure. All right. So how cute. And then on the inside, I did stamp Hello Summer to help finish off the perfect summer card. And this is from Tropical's Flower to Stamp or something like that. I'll link that in the description. And it does stand up. See? How cute. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this. I had a great time with this set. I got a couple more cards I'm going to make that I haven't finished. I just had so much fun with it. And if you're interested in the club, be sure and check the description. I've got all the details. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.